Good morning. Good morning, all. Thank you very much for joining us today and taking the time to learn about our student life here at Vermont Law School. My name is Katie Merrill. I am the Director of Admissions, and I'm joined by a wonderful group of faculty, administration, and my favorite, students. My colleagues, I'd first like to introduce my colleagues. Mel DeFlorio, our Associate Director for Enrollment, and Simon Wilbanks, he's from admissions and he is my guru. I can't thank you enough, Simon, for helping me out these past couple weeks, as this is our third in a series of webinars. I also would like to welcome our students that are helping us today and our amazing, you can see them here. My favorite part of my job is working with our students. They're the life of VLS. I chose this initial slide because it has some of my favorite people in there, Ariel and Mariana and Bailey, who was my previous work study. Thank you all for helping out today. And I would like to introduce our fearless leader, Dean Jefferson. Dean Jefferson, are you on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, just sorry you can't see me.
That's okay.
Great.
So, Dean Jefferson, I was hoping that you could tell us a little bit about yourself and give the students out there, all our attendees, an idea of what VLS is like. Before I have you get started, Simon is moderating the Q&A. So if you have any questions for Dean Jefferson, he's going to be monitoring your questions, and I am certainly willing to answer questions live for Dean J while we have her on the phone. All right, that said, and we also have a chat feature. Let us know where you're from. I know let us know if this is your third webinar. I'd love to see who's stood by me through these past couple weeks. So use the chat function in that case. But all right, Dean J, if you want to take it away.
All right, thank you, Katie. Good morning. As Katie said, I'm Shirley Jefferson, the Associate Dean for Student Affairs, also Associate Professor of Law. I welcome you and good morning. I wish we all could be together on our beautiful campus, but unfortunately we cannot. But that's no reason why we can't continue to talk and try to give you all a feel of our beautiful law school. I know that a lot of you all are listening today because you want to be lawyers. You want to help people in the world. You want to make this a better world. Those were my reasons for going to law school. I attended Vermont Law School over 30 some years ago. I too had a dream, and I know that you all have dreams. And I know in this trying time, I just want to give you encouragement not to give up on your dreams. Continue. We need those dreams more than anything. I wanted to be a lawyer because I grew up in Selma, Alabama, during the time of segregation. Um, and I wanted to make this a better world. So I moved to Washington, D.C. I attended Southeastern University in D.C. I'm sure a lot of you all are from D.C. Don't know if anybody from Alabama, but I continue to uh, try to reach my goal, the best way that I could. And it was people along the way who helped me. I graduated from college and I got a letter from Vermont Law School asking me to attend. And I did. And I was so glad that I did. Nancy White, who's a part of this team, some of you all might know her. She and Gil Kajovic, one of our former professors, he passed away a couple of years ago. They read my application. Although I didn't have that high LSAT score, I had a great point average. They were impressed by my highly motivated. I was so highly motivated and determined to get to law school. And that's what I say to you all today. We're looking for highly motivated students. We're looking for students who are determined. We're looking for students who will not give up on their dreams. And so I started law school back, like I told you some time ago. But first, when I arrived on campus at 3 o'clock in the morning with $1 in my pocket. And one of the employees from the law school pulled up in a car, and I went home with them, and I never looked back. Vermont Law School took care of me in those days. We didn't have an academic success program that we have now here at our school to help you if you need help with anything. But there were people, and I took law school serious. I had a young son who was 2 years old. I worked very hard. I used to get up early in the mornings and do my work, and then sometime I would walk about a mile to take him to school. And I'm telling you all of this to give you encouragement in these times, where you can't get that encouragement. I just want to say that we have some of the best students in the world. Just as Katie said, I work very closely with students, and some of the students most of the students you're going to talk to today, they are our leaders. Former SBA presidents, several of my ambassadors, some of the others, champions in the mental health field. It's just a great array of students. And our faculty, I can't say enough about our faculty. They are dedicated in their profession. They will help you one-on-one, spend time with you. Our academic success, Professor Joe Brennan, he is great with helping you and Katrina and some of the other folks there. Our staff, we can't ask for a better grade of staff people. And it's just a great place to come. And I hope when everything is over with this coronavirus, that you all could visit our campus and see and get the feel of it, and know that our students are there to help you. We're there to help you. And if I can help you in any way, some of you all on this webinar, I've met on the road. Uh, um, and I'll say hi to some of you all, and don't forget us. And in these times, trying times, continue to strive for your dreams. I believe in dreams, and dreams can come true. And we're looking for the next generation of leaders. And I know you are out there. You are next generation of leaders. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you all. And I wish you well in your future endeavors. And if I can help you in any way, I'm here. And thank you for participating in our webinar today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean J. Dean J, do you have any advice you can offer these students who are beginning their journey and starting school? Some are starting this summer in May, and then some are starting in the fall.
What I would say to them is that law school is nothing but reasoning and common sense. Once it ceases to be that, it ceases to be law. Get in there. It's a lot of reading, it's a lot of writing, but I hope that you all are going to schools where you can get some support if you need it. One thing that I found that a lot of students downfall is that they have false pride. It's okay to say you don't know. It's okay to get help if you need it, and work together, with each other. Talk to your professors, go talk to your professors after class. Read and brief your cases, outline your cases, and do practice exams. It's work. It's a lot of work. But if you do the work, you can make it. Now, if there are some students who are out there who need to study for the LSAT, you need to do is about 3 100,000 practice exams, questions, those questions. And I was,
Woo.
that's a lot. But if you do like 10, 15, or 20 a day until your weekend, you can do it. That's why I say it's a lot of work. You know, we're the second highest profession in this country. It doesn't come easy. And I say to them, when you get to your law school, you start taking some of those bar exam questions, those multiple choice. You got to start off your first day to start condition yourself to pass that bar exam. That's my advice.
Oh, good. And any advice for like what they should do to prepare mentally and health wise, anything along those lines?
I would say mentally, as I said before, start reading. There are quite a few books out there, you know, about starting law school, and I'm pretty sure Professor Joe Brennan, he could help you, you know, if you want to start reading and getting the habit of attending law school. But you have to get yourself on a schedule. You have to, from the time you get up until the time you go to bed, you have to be on this schedule. But you also must take care of yourself. In your schedule, you put down exercise, walking. We have a great fitness center here on our campus, but you have to get out and do that. But you must be on follow your time management, and ASP can help you with that. But you have to put everything in it, and I'm pretty sure the students will speak to that. But condition yourself now by getting on a schedule. You know, just today now, without us seeing each other or going to work. You get up, I get up every morning, I'm going to work. I do the same things I do if I was going out today, out the door. But what I do now, I sit down at my kitchen table and turn on to Teams or and start working. And at a certain time, I stop working, but I'm going to work. Get yourself in the habit attending law school.
Wonderful. All right, Dean Jay, I really appreciate my morning I had with you today. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us. And I look forward. One thing that we're doing at Vermont Law on Fridays, our professors are hosting lunches. And so next Friday, I am hosting a lunch with Dean Jefferson. So it's a way our community can stay connected. So I look forward to virtually seeing you next Friday, and enjoy your weekend.
Well, thank you, Kate. I must say one thing too. The students, they love you and they all know you. And some of the students have asked if I was having guests on my show, if I would have you, but I would have done that anyway. So you just
Thank
keep
you.
up the good work. The whole admissions team, y'all keep up the good work. You got a great leader, Mel DeForio. I know her quite well. She'll help you, and she'll help all of the participants and everyone. So thank you all. Be safe. And I wish you all well in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean Jay. All right. All righty. One thing I forgot to do, a big shout out to Genevieve. Genevieve, sorry, she's also helping. She's one of our admissions counselors. She does a lot of work with our online students, and she's answering some of the questions and answers. So this is my favorite part. We're talking about community. One big part of Vermont Law School is our sense of community. We are a school bonded together. It's not a typical law school in the sense of everyone's trying to outdo everyone. Everyone in this sense is really working hard to create a community. So I'm going to introduce you to some of my favorite people on campus. I'm going to start off with Fido. I'm going to start off with you if you'd like to say a few words about yourself.
Good morning, all. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. My name is Fido Andre. I'm from Miami, Florida. I come from.
Fido, do you want to turn on your camera, or can you? Or
good morning, y'all.
There you are. Okay, that's much better.
Yeah, so I'm from Miami, Florida. I come from a big family. I'm a 1L. I'm still learning so many things. I'm always moved when Dean Jefferson gives a speech. So that was great. Um, as a 1L, you're just trying to piece everything together. There's the biggest thing for a 1L is time management. There's so many things to do, but I think everyone can do it. And as I have here on the slide, my favorite subject is civil procedure. And so I think going through the grind, I think you have to figure out something that motivates you as you go through this tough time as a 1L. And I'm excited to hear the 2Ls and 3Ls speak about their experience. But if you have any questions for me, I'm here and I'm open for you all.
Yeah, well, wonderful. Who's teaching your section of civil procedure?
Dean McCormick.
Yeah, yeah. So for all of you that attended the first webinar, it is, we have it recorded on our website. Dean McCormick is, she's good. She's a good, tough professor. I'm glad that you are having her. All right, Fido, we'll be back in a little bit with you. I want to introduce Brian. Right, Brian, you're coming up next. Brian, I met Brian and his family when they came to visit. Brian, I'm going to let them know that your family owns a restaurant and you're from New Jersey, but can you just say a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah. Well, actually, hold on. Let me tell.
This is when you are working remote. Last week, we had a little one that walked through the camera, and Brian, I guess, is working from home.
I am working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, I'm working from home, so I'm a 3L. About to be done. It's been a quicker experience than I thought it would be, and I'm going to miss Vermont law quite a lot. So the reason why I came to Vermont is because of the environmental program. I have a science background, and I wanted to do law related to my science background. So Vermont being one of the best environmental law schools ever, so I obviously would want to go here. And not to say for all the folks that don't want to do environmental law, the school is amazing, and I don't regret anything at all. For the environmental law people that are interested, the classes are just phenomenal. The opportunities that they've had given me is just, things that I would never have thought would ever come true. I interned for like the NRDC. I've gotten to go to the Conference of the Parties for the UNFCCC, and really, I can't thank Vermont Law School enough for that. So.
Oh, thank you, Brian. All right, wonderful. All right, next in line, I'm going to introduce Kyle, who's our former president, SBA, and he comes with his Vermont Law School sweatshirt.
That's right. Yeah.
Hi, Kyle. If you want to just
work
say a
from home business
about
casual.
yourself.
How's it going, Katie?
Good, thank you.
So I came to VLS from Boston. Nancy White in admissions is actually the first person I made eye contact with at a big law school fair in Boston, and then the rest is history. She was just a friendly face in the crowd, and I started looking at this school and realized it was something very special. And yeah, the rest is history. And I wanted to second what Brian said, in that it very much does fly by. You think you have 3 years and oh, that's forever. And now I'm staring down having only 3 weeks left. And yeah, where does the time go? But as Katie said, I was president of the Student Bar Association 2018, 2019. I was a Dean's Fellow in the Legal Writing Department, and that whole program matches third-year students. There's 2 third-year students who teach legal writing seminars once a week in addition to the legal writing class. Fido is actually in my class, and a bit hurt that that wasn't his favorite class, but it's fine.
It was a good
Uh,
class.
Editor, I was editor-in-chief of the Forum. The Forum is our newspaper, and we'll talk about that later, but
Forward, yeah.
the Forum is the student newspaper of VLS that Ariel and I helped start back up. And I won't go through my whole resume, but it's I truly, truly love VLS enough to get up and shower on a Saturday. So that should speak volumes for itself. This school gave me a chance when nobody else would. And that's a common refrain that you'll hear from Dean Jay to everybody else. It's a truly special place. And you find that people, as Katie said earlier, there's not at all that sense of kind of competitiveness. I've been to other law schools and you feel it. Mentioned I was actually at the Emory Civil Rights and Liberties Moot Court competition, and I was interacting with other and any other event where I meet people from other law schools. You really get a sense for what a special place VLS is, because there's that sense of that we're all in it together. And I know there's stories of other schools, people stealing books out of libraries or ripping pages out so their class just to move up a couple spots in class rank. None of that happening at VLS, not even close. It's just, it makes you wonder how it is that so many good people can be concentrated in like what, a quarter-mile radius. Like the odds are crazy, but it's a place that's very near and dear to my heart.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle. All right. Next up is Akash. So I love this picture of Akash because Akash typically is studying in our coffee shop that's in town, our First Branch coffee shop. So Akash, do you want to say a few words about yourself? Are you there, Akash? Oh, there you are. Is he? He's on, but maybe he's, oh.
Okay. Zoom. Good morning, everyone. I'm here partially because I can't say no to Katie. And I hope that you're all doing well and keeping safe. Keeping in line with my policy background, just a quick note that if you have not filled out your Census 2020 forms, please do so. I know it's a low bar, but it is genuinely the easiest government form I have ever filled out. It will take you less than 10 minutes, and it's really important for like the next 10 years with the resources and political organizing. That's my spiel on the census. So I came to Vermont Law after having worked as an environmental policy analyst, doing a lot of environmental justice work for the state of Oregon and the NAACP in Portland, Oregon, and I wanted to have an environmental law education to sort of like bolster that up before I got back into the workforce. I love the people here. Kyle was mentioning no one like taking away like your books and stuff like that, the sort of like hyper competitive environment that you will see at other law schools. I echo that experience wholeheartedly. And you will end up finding not just people that care about the environment, which is what school is known for, but also people who genuinely care about creating a supportive and wholesome environment for you as a person in whichever way that you need. One of the best opportunities, I would say, are the clinics. I'm an advanced clinician at our school's environmental justice law clinic. It's one of the few EJ clinics in the country. And it's a clinic where you work on some really critical environmental issues and programs, but you do so with a focus specifically around environmental justice and the understanding that low-income communities and communities of color bear a disproportionate amount of burden from environmental degradation, and to have an experience that focuses specifically on that has been incredibly, incredibly valuable. Another opportunity that I highly recommend to students is an IRP, which is the independent research project that you're able to sort of get your hands on. And the reason I recommend that is I knew when I came to VLS, I was very much set on continuing to work on the Clean Air Act. because it's what I'd been working on. I was like, well, just kind of stick with it. And in just a short 2-year time frame, I realized that there's a couple of other things that I really deeply care about. And so just in case there's something that really interests you, that you really want to delve really deeply into, and there isn't a class option available for that specific topic, find a professor that you really get along with, that you have a good rapport with, and who's willing to give you some of their time so you can do an independent research project and really delve really deeply into whatever topic that area of research that interests you happens to be. And last but not least, I am a member of the Accelerator program here at VLS, a great option for students who want to get back into the workforce early, or for a variety of reasons want to condense their law school education. The Accelerator program is a really good option for you. And it is a lot of work. There's really not a lot of breaks in between. But you also get to take advantage of our incredible summer session, which you have faculty from around the world who come in and teach really incredible classes on detailed topics, from everything from like environmental health to international environment of the trade, which I knew nothing about right before taking the class, and love that experience. So if you have any questions about IRPs or the AJD program, feel free to ask me in the Q&A below. I'm happy to answer them.
Perfect. And as we go through the slides too, Akash, we can dive a little bit deeper. I did have there are comments about your background. Yes. Is it Hogwarts? Is it VLS? Wonderful. Next up, Mariana, how are you this morning? And you're muted. Mariana?
Muted. Oh,
There you are. Good morning.
hi. So I have a companion. So this is what happens when you work from home, do law school from home. But good morning, everybody. My name is Mariana Munoz, and I am a 2L, and I am originally from Guadalajara, Mexico. And I'm very excited to hear and see what everybody is up to. Originally, I came to Vermont for undergrad, and then I stayed here for grad school, and then I joined the real world for a little bit and decided, you know what, I'm gonna go back. So here we are at VLS, and I love it.
Mariana, everybody's loving your kitty in the chat.
Yes, he is very much a camera cat. So he makes several appearances daily on my lectures and in class. But yeah, I'm just super excited to talk to everybody and answer questions and be honest. I'm president right now of the Latin American Law Student Association, which I love and fosters deep connections between students of Latinx descent or any allies. I'm also a 2L senator at the Student Bar Association, so I help bring my fellow cohorts and peers concerns so that we may address them as a student bar. I'm also a social justice mission scholar, and with that comes a lot of unique opportunities, especially to meet other mission scholars, to do community service work, and to really find how you can create change while at VLS. And lastly, I guess I'm a advanced clinician along with Akash and Ariel, who you will meet, apologies, at the Environmental Justice Clinic, where we mainly use civil rights law to address environmental justice concerns for our clients. And of course, as you all met Dean Jefferson earlier, a woman we all hold dear to our hearts, I am part of her student ambassador group. And what we do is help her create these lasting connections between prospective or admitted students and VLS by answering your questions, taking you to lunch if we were on campus. So I'm a little upset I don't get to do that with some of you, but hopefully this will address some of the things we would discuss at lunch.
Oh, good. Thank you, Mariana. All right. Ariel. So Ariel, I met Ariel when she was in undergrad. She came through our 3+ program with BARD at Simon's Rock, and I believe Caleb's a participant, and he's an entering 3+, and that's where you do 3 years undergrad, and then your senior year is at Vermont Law. But being Ariel came with almost, I think, all her credits. I think maybe had to transfer back 1 or 2.
Yeah, 3 credits.
One thing, Ariel is on our board of trustees. So we have 2 student trustees on our board, and Ariel has voting rights. So technically, Ariel is my boss, and she, today she ran through one of the slides with me this morning, and we bantered back about her future as a future leader, and I wanted to be invited to her swearing in ceremony, or the good party to be invited to.
Well, thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
And I also want to say that Fido was just elected as next year's 2L trustee. So congratulations to him.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Yes, so as Katie mentioned, I graduated from Bard College at Simon's Rock with a major in environmental and sustainability studies. I'm from Albany, New York, and I've been a VLS student for 3 years now. So next year, actually, I guess this is a good opportunity to talk about some of our exchange programs and some of the opportunities to spend time off campus. So we have partnerships with about 6 different domestic institutions, and one of them is Howard University in Washington, D.C. So we are able to send up to 2 students per semester to go to these exchange schools, and so it's a really cool program. So Mariana and I will be there in the fall, and we're super excited about that. In addition to that, I am also one of the 5 co-founders and one of the co-chairs for the Environmental Justice Law Society here on VLS's campus. As you've heard, environmental justice is really the intersection of environmental law, social justice, and civil rights. So we advocate on behalf of low-income and minority communities. And the Environmental Justice Law Society really was founded in order to supplement what was then a lack of environmental justice education at one of the premier environmental law schools in the country. So we've done a lot of internal advocacy and education, which has led to the creation of the EJ Clinic and a lot of other really great, exciting programs, and we're continuing to see them grow, and I'm super excited to see that. But we've also done a lot of external education. We've done panel discussions. We were keynote speakers at the high school in Hanover, and we did a presentation for over 700 high school students. So yeah, we're really excited about the work that we do there. And as Kyle mentioned, he and I helped to found, or I guess restart the VLS newspaper, The Forum, and I currently serve as the publisher for that newspaper. I'm on the board of trustees for a few more meetings, I suppose. And then I am also an advanced environmental justice clinician with Akash and Mariana. And I guess I'm also a student ambassador. And I'd also like to mention that I am a Schweitzer Fellow for next school year. So the Schweitzer program, actually Vermont Law School was the first law school to be included in the Schweitzer in the country. And it's essentially a program where graduate students can come together and figure out ways to address health issues and kind of identifying social determinants of health and creating projects to combat some of those issues. So I'll be creating an environmental justice curriculum for middle school students throughout all of next school year, and I'm super excited about that. And yeah, so if you have any questions about any of those things, please feel free to reach out, and I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariel. All right, and next I'm very pleased to introduce our next guest, Ginevra. So Ginevra babysat my son, who is now 18, so I've known Ginevra for a very long time. Ginevra is one of our Master's Environmental Law and Policy students. Ginevra, do you have a few words to say?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, yes. Hi.
Okay. Well, my microphone's been funny. Hi, nice to see all of you. Yes, I babysat Katie's son so many years ago. So I'm actually probably the outlier in this panel because I am a master's student. I am not a JD. So my time at Vermont Law School is, I guess, almost more than halfway over at this point. The master's program just starts in the fall and then goes through the summer. So it's just 1 year and you're done. And I know at least Ariel, I believe, and some others often will start with the master's and then move on to the JD, but that's not me. I came to Vermont Law pretty certain I didn't want to be a JD or practice law, but I wanted to have a really good understanding of environmental policy. So I guess one thing I would love to say to everyone is that if you have a really clear focus on what you're interested in, especially in the field of environmental law, you can 100% pursue that at VLS to a really great degree. I came in having some experience doing water quality work in Northern Vermont. So I've taken 2 water quality courses or water courses at VLS, and also came in with a focus in land use and have had amazing experiences with, we have a great class on land use taught by a professor who has a lot of experience in conservation easements and taxation. So I came in with a pretty clear focus in what I wanted to learn, and it was really helpful because you only have a year, right? And then you can kind of tailor what you want to do and take those classes and really dig in to what you're interested in, which I absolutely love about VLS. The one thing I will say that I get asked a lot as a master's student because you come in and it's not like the JD, you're thrown in to classes with students who are in their 2nd or 3rd year of law school. So they've already had quite a bit of experience in the law and kind of used to reading cases and have a bit of a leg up. So I get asked about that a lot in terms of, wow, that sounds like difficult or impossible. It definitely wasn't. You have so much support at Vermont Law School, and the professors are willing to sit down with you for lunch, meet with you one-on-one, pretty small class sizes. So after the first 2 or 3 weeks, I felt really at home and really just capable and like I was learning a lot. So yeah, I think that's all I'll say for now. I already had a community in Vermont, so I do a lot outside of VLS in terms of like volunteering and involvement. I also am doing an externship this semester for credit. So if you want some really good on the ground experience, I would really recommend that for JDs or for master's students. I've been doing some really cool work identifying possible areas for wetland restoration. So yeah, nice to virtually meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you. I also want to introduce Rico. Can you unmute? I wanted to introduce you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello, Rico. So Rico did our merge and then decided to pursue a JD. But can you speak a little bit about yourself and the March program?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Rico Edwards. I'm currently in 1L here at VLS. I came in with the March, doing the March program. And initially, it being a new program, things were good, actually, just for it to be a new program. I really made a lot of connections because of the classes that we took. And so over the summertime, I ended up interning at the AG's office. Yeah, I ended up interning at the AG's office, doing restorative justice like policy. So I was basically getting the legislative session ready for the next year with the Community Justice Division at the AG's office. And then I also just had a really good opportunity to network a little bit with some people who are in prison reform. And that's about it. I graduated last year and I'm a 1L. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful. All right, Rico, and we're gonna talk about academics a little bit too. So if you could stay online for just a little bit longer, I'd appreciate it. All right, Dana. So I want to introduce Dana. Oops, hold on one second. Dana sorry guys. I wanted to end with Dana's slide because it's so like You're doing it. You're graduating. Dana's a 3L. Very active with career services. She worked consistently with career services, and I think you have a job, right? After school, Dana?
I do, yes. Feel lucky. I talked to them yesterday, and sounds like even with the chaos, they're still ready to take me on. So I'm really excited. And that photo may be my biggest achievement ever in running. So that's why I like to use it whenever possible. But I'm a 3L. I'm from Frankfort, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. And I came to law school interested in environmental law. Wasn't sure about litigation, but then took some classes that all JD students have to take, appellate advocacy class. And then I went on to advanced appellate advocacy and decided that I kind of liked being up in front of some judges. So decided I was actually interested in litigation too. So I'm in trial practice this semester, which has been a lot of fun. The transition to online has gone surprisingly smooth for a practice class, so I was pleased with that. Some other things I do on campus, I think Dean Jefferson mentioned the Academic Success Program. So I'm a student mentor in that program, and what it is it's a great resource for all students on campus, and I really wish I had taken advantage of it more when I was a 1L, but it's just a time where you can meet with either Professor Brennan or with a student mentor to go over questions you have from class or about scheduling or about adjusting to law school life. And there's all kinds of supplements for you to check out there. So I recommend for those coming to VLS that one of your first stops when you get to campus is Academic Success, because that's a really great way to set yourself up to have a good law school experience. I TA for civil procedure, so I was happy that Vito's favorite class was civil procedure because that's the class I TA. And also evidence, both of these are required courses for JD students. I'm also editor-in-chief of the Vermont Journal of Environmental Law. That's one of 2 academic journals we have on campus. There's also Vermont Law Review, both excellent opportunities, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. I participated in the National Environmental Moot Court team this semester, which goes down to Pace Law School and competes. I also participated in the Environmental Advocacy Clinic for 2 semesters, which is a great experience. I recommend clinics for everyone, even if you want to do semester in practice. They're really great ways to get your feet wet and kind of explore what you might want to do when you go out into the workforce.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you all for those lovely introductions. We're going to move over into academics, and I know we've touched on some, so this is where if you guys, if my attendees have questions, this is kind of where we can start digging into maybe some of your academic questions that you have for the students. Always you have your first year experience, your second year experience, your third year experience, and your master's experience. This is just a sample, like JD, your year 1, which is Fido's living now. Year 2, which let's see, Mariana, Ariel, and then year 3, where you have Kyle and Dana, and of course Rico's a 1L too. He has a little bit of advantage to the 1Ls because he did start with the master's program. So one thing I want to talk about, there's a question, hi Taha, nice to see you. I'm glad to see you, that you're joining us today. Taha did come and visit. He was fortunate enough before we had to close campus. So Akash, he wanted to have a question about the accelerated JD program. Did you feel at a disadvantage being able to not have a traditional schedule and not having that typical 1L internship? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. And I was actually, I was speaking of community teamwork, I just got a text from Mariana that I had a question in the Q&A, and I was just typing a response to it, but I'm happy to just say it out loud. So I chose the AJD program because of my environmental experience prior to law school, so I felt more comfortable doing that. One of the things to know with the AJD program is that if you decide to accelerate, but at a certain point, let's say you get like the summer internship that you're like, oh my God, I can't miss it. It's a lot. I'm really interested in it. I really want to do this. You can decelerate. You can't accelerate after you've decelerated. So it's just really balancing your choices. But as an AJD, you still have access to internships, externships, and extracurriculars. You just have to really find your mode of time management and really what works best for you. As far as internships and externships go, I did the I'm in my 5th semester of classes, so you just take classes with like little bits of really welcome breaks in the middle. But after your 5th semester of classes, Taha, you do have the option of having a summer internship and doing an SIP the following fall. So if you decide to pursue the AJD pathway, that does not negate your ability to pursue an internship or externship. You just probably most likely would be able to do it after all of your courses are complete. So I think the first question you want to have in your mind if you're thinking about the AJD route is what experiences do you have prior to law school? And the second is what type of experiences are you really wanting to have in law school? Do you really want to just stick with like government work? Do you want to go strictly into litigation? Do you want more of a law firm experience, like balancing out the type and the quantity of experiences that you would like, and to see if time-wise the AJD program actually allows you to do that. And third is and I think one of the advantages in terms of having your internship and externship follow all of your classes is that you've gone through you've gone through the required classes, you've gone through some of the bar exam classes, but you've also gone through a litany of classes that you just are interested in, and what your idea of the type of law and or policy that you want to practice at the beginning of law school versus at the end of your AJD route may just be like vastly different. And also it may just help you really narrow down the type of internship and externship that you want to pursue. Just to wrap it up with, or the answer up with my example, I am pursuing, I originally had a summer internship and then a fall SIP lined up. There was a sort of, we're trying to work out the timing with everything that is going on. But if you're concerned about choosing the AJD route and not being able to do an internship or externship, that you still have the opportunities to do both of those.
Perfect, thank you. I want to talk a little bit about semester in practice. People are interested in that now. Traditionally, our semester in practice is your 3rd year, either the fall or spring semester. And I think Kyle is still on SIP, I believe remotely. And I think, Brian, you did an SIP too. And then I know Dana stayed home because she's the editor-in-chief of VJAL, so she had to stay. But Kyle, do you want to talk a little bit about your SIP?
Sure. So 3L year, things kind of change. The people who obviously you're in the same class with the same people through 1L year, and then 2L year, things start to change, but you still have a lot of familiar faces. And then 3L, things really do change because more or less about half or so, that's just how it feels. I don't know what the number breakdown actually is, but a lot of the people, half of them go in the fall on their SIP, and then other people go in the spring, which is what I did. There's merits for either side. I preferred the spring because I figured getting a taste of actually doing legal work and getting a taste of the real world. After that, coming back, I figured that might be hard. I also thought it might be good. I would eventually, like I said, I came to VLS from Boston. I want to practice in Boston afterwards. So I thought that actually being in Boston for my SIP in the spring would help me land a job. So it hasn't yet, but it will, hopefully. So I've been externing with the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts. And so I'm one of 2 student clerks from VLS. It's a pretty big chamber. There's 2 full-time clerks, and there's a bunch of LLM clerks. One from, I think there's 2 from Israel, 1 from Colombia, and I forget where the other one's from. But it's an amazing experience, and I've learned a ton in a short amount of time. And as Katie mentioned, I'm still doing it. We kind of ran into a hurdle with the courthouse used to be very not cool with working from home. And I think in the face of the present crisis, they kind of realized they needed to change the rules a bit. So as soon as I got my work from home authorization, I'm back in Pennsylvania now, doing it, finishing up. I got 3 more weeks of the externship. But there's, in addition to actually doing the work, there's coursework that you do. You do weekly, you're assigned a professor who you work with throughout the duration of your externship. And to be clear, it's not just judicial externships. People get them all over the place. My former roommate actually worked for the Audubon Society of Vermont in, I think, 2L spring, which was kind of rare. Usually it's 3L, but there's so much you can do, and they help place you as well, instead of just going blind and saying, oh, can someone please take me on for a semester? They actually have a database with all of these different employers who have a long-standing relationship with VLS, where VLS students have been placed before. And to me, that really made the difference. I mean, I came from an undergraduate institution where I really didn't feel supported at all. And I know when I was initially doing my job search, like Mariana, I took a few years in between undergrad and law school. And I just felt that I was kind of adrift. No one was really helping me. No one was connecting me. But especially with the externship program, there's a whole database of law firms and judges and government entities. So there's a lot of support in that way. And so I think the experiential credit is one of the coolest things about the VLS education. It really gets you out into the field. And, it's fine if it's one thing to learn the law within the sort of the vacuum of the lecture hall, but actually getting out into the real world and seeing how the law is applied, that's invaluable. And especially too with bar prep as well, to have an externship where you're really going over the fundamentals again, really making sure you have a firm understanding of those foundations of law. I find that valuable too. So yeah, I'd recommend it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to jump over. I put on this slide our broadest master's program, because we have our master's environmental law and policy, we have our master's energy regulation and law, and we have our master's food and agriculture law and policy, and then we have our master's in arts and restorative justice. But this is kind of like a broad picture of how students line up their master's program. You can kind of interchange it for each program. And I'm happy to, if you let Simon know, we can email you for your specific program, these curriculum sheets. But Ginevra, I know that you're including an externship in your experience, but I also have a question from you from Kelly. And I think someone, you might have already answered this, Ginevra, about the transition from going online with your master's program and your experience as far as the courses that you were taking live, and then now that they've become online.
I hit send just as you started asking that, Katie. Yeah, and I couldn't tell with Kelly if she meant the online program just in general, or now that we've made the switch online as a whole campus.
Yeah.
But I took an online class actually last semester before we did this switch. And in terms of her question, kind of asked about like acclimating to the program and getting on the right level and the same level as JD's. And the online classes are pretty amazing because you get immediate feedback pretty much every week when you're doing writing and discussions. unlike a lot of the in-person classes on campus where there isn't a lot in terms of assignments, at least I found, for the first month or two. So feedback is amazing. So the online classes will, I think, really help you to know where you're at. And yeah, I really liked both. I loved my online class. I did environmental law, and I also love my in-person classes.
Yeah, well, good. All right, thank you. Yeah, it's been a pretty good, we've been doing online education for a decade. And so we had a pretty, I would say, pretty good move when we had to go virtual. So I think all our students, there are a few bumps, but we're pretty good at the online component of things here at Vermont Law. Well, other than myself and webinars. So I want to get to kind of the fun stuff. Our students are involved, as you can hear, all the work that they do, and co-curricular. So on top of law school, there's so much more that you can do. And I love this slide. It's the climate change march from years ago. And I know all the students. They're from Vermont Law, and they're quite the activist group, which is why I selected it. But as far as co-curricular, I know, Dana, that you're on the on VGEL. Can you talk a little bit about VGEL? And there's a question regarding how do you balance academics and co-curricular opportunities. And I know, like for Dana, she selected VGEL and opposed to an SIP. So can you kind of talk about how students get onto journals and in general those questions, please?
Absolutely. So there's two journals on campus. So there's Vermont Law Review and also VGEL, which, as the name suggests, is an environmentally focused journal. And you wouldn't have to worry about getting onto a journal until the end of your 1L year. So during 1L year, you really want to focus on your classes and get into the swing of things, work on that scheduling. Scheduling is so important. And then at the end of 1L year, there's a write-on competition, which is a set of blue booking and red booking, all of which you'll learn about in your legal writing classes. That's just grammar and citations, exercises, as well as a writing sample. And there's also a grade-on process, which after the write-on's over, if there's still spots available, it goes by class rank. And journals are a great experience, a great way to get work on your writing, work on your citation form, which is very important. My summer internships, I was checking citations all the time. And so learning about how to do legal citations is super important as you go into your internships once you get there and your jobs. But as far as balancing different obligations go, you have to really prioritize what is important to you. So it's, I think it's kind of impossible to do every single thing on campus. There's just so many activities and so many different clubs and competitions and student groups and journals. There's just so much that's available to you. And that's great. That's a wonderful thing about VLS. We're all very involved in a very tight-knit community, but at some point, something's got to give. So for me, for choosing to be editor-in-chief over doing an SIP, it came down to what was important to me. And I love VGEL. I love being on journal. It's something that I have loved the experience the entire time. So I was willing to substitute on-campus clinical experience. So there's a handful of clinics on campus. You've heard about the EJ Clinic, the Environmental Advocacy Clinic. There's also the South Royalton Legal Clinic. So there's a lot of options for you to do on-campus experiential learning as well. So I just decided that the journal was a priority for me over other things, but you definitely want to be cognizant of your own limitations and know if you're not great at scheduling, maybe take on less co-curricular activities so that you could focus on your academics. And you will get better at scheduling as it goes. It's just a necessary at law school. You're going to have a crazy color-coded schedule. A lot of people do. It's not a bad thing. You could show it off at school, and people will admire your color-coded schedule.
That's very true. 1Ls do come into my office and show said schedules that they've created. You plan out every minute of your life. Who's moot court? Anyone? Yeah, Kyle. Oh, and Dana. Can you tell them a little bit about your moot court experience?
Sure. Dana, do you want to take it first? I could.
Sure. So I was on the National Environmental Law Moot Court competition team, so the PACE team. And so moot court was a lot of fun. The way there's 3 teams on campus that you get onto through a set path. So every 2L has to take appellate advocacy, and then you can take advanced appellate advocacy based on a selection process based on your performance in appellate advocacy. And then from that advanced class, it's another set of, you write a brief on a case that is before the Supreme Court at the time the class is going, and you also participate in an oral argument competition with your classmates. And then from advanced appellate advocacy, based on your performance in there, you could join one of 3 moot court teams. So that's the National Moot Court Competition, then PACE team, or the Emory team, which Kyle was on. And so moot court competition was a ton of fun. You write a brief as a team. So I had 2 other teammates. So the 3 of us sat down together and wrote a brief on a problem, and it was an environmental law problem. And then we traveled to Pace Law School and competed against, I believe there were 55 teams total there. So we did an oral argument competition against all those other teams. It was a whole lot of fun. I learned a ton being there, hearing all different kinds of oral advocacy styles, and reading other teams' briefs really pointed out to me where my legal writing could get better. So it was a really fun experience, and it was fun to be with teammates and our professor coach as well.
Wonderful. Oh, wonderful. All right, let's see. Rico, restorative justice and 1Ls. Are there any organizations? Oh, hi, Rico. Are there any organizations for 1Ls to get involved into?
Yeah, there's a ton. It's really whatever you want to do, but particularly I got really involved in the SBA when I was a March student. I was a master senator, so I represented all the master students, advocated on behalf of them. I was also really involved in the Civil Litigation Society, which is pretty much like civil cases, like learning how to litigate civil cases. I was also really involved in BALSA, which is the Black Law Student Association. And so there's a lot of different things you can get involved with. I was really particularly involved in the National Lawyers Guild, and I was really helping with some of their initiatives that they have going on. So, I mean, there's just a lot you can get involved with, and being a master's student, it's a little bit more chillax, so you're able to do a little bit more slightly if you want to.
Thank you. Speaking of, so here's the law school experience. You have your academics, then you have your co-curriculars, and then the SBA, the Student Bar Association, and clubs, and you can just, this is kind of where the fun comes, so you have to schedule that in too. I'm looking to Dana because Dana's the one that keeps everybody scheduled. I'm thinking because of your ASP background. So Kyle, do you want to talk a little bit about our student groups, SBA?
Sure. It's tough remembering to unmute yourself. Yeah, the SBA is something very near and dear to me. I was a 1L senator, and that was a lot of fun. So just briefly, the overall structure of the SBA. Each class has 5 senators within the Senate. A lot of times when we talk about the SBA, we really mean the Senate of the SBA. They have meetings every Tuesday. There's a designated lunch hour. And so we meet and talk about things that are of concern to the students, things that the students may think we should be doing or taking a stand on. And there's a lot of different things that the SBA can do. I truly believe it can be a vehicle for change, not only on the campus, but in the community in general. So then I was elected president of the Student Bar Association by 6 votes. So it's very competitive, and it's one of the few competitive things at VLS, but that was last year. And as Ariel and Theo have mentioned, the student trustees are a part of the SBA, and I think that's really putting your money where your mouth is. You could say that the students come first and the students are important. Yeah. But actually having 2 seats on the board, that's pretty incredible. And it really does allow for an outlet for student concerns and the like. So my 1L, when I was a 1L senator, I helped found the housing committee. And that's really when I started working closely with Katie. And I found that once I started working with Katie, everything just started falling into place, and it was wonderful. And we put together this resource called the Little Green Book of Housing, which we took all of the rental housing statutes in Vermont. There's not many, and South Royalton doesn't have any housing ordinances, so it's very much a state issue. And we condensed them down and put it into language that you would use to just explain. We weren't giving free legal advice, but we were just sort of telling folks, look, these are the laws that govern these problem areas. We organized it by any sort of, whether or not your landlord has to clean out your driveway, or whether or not what the hot water requirement is, and all that sort of thing. And so that, I believe, is available on a PDF on the website, right, Katie?
Yes, it is. And I have I'll talk about housing a little bit later.
Cool.
Well, shortly. But I know, Ariel, you also help launch the forum. Can you talk a little bit about the process of relaunching or starting a new student group on campus?
I'll talk about adding a new student group to campus, but I think Kyle would certainly be the better person to talk about the forum. So I'm going to give it over to him to answer that and talk about the forum.
So the forum, as you know, VLS is, as far as the law school goes, kind of on the younger side, and it was founded in the early 70s. In 1975, 3 students founded the Forum, which is the newspaper at VLS. And I've looked through the archives. There's a lot more mustaches at VLS than there are now, as I found. But I just found that this to be such an incredible resource, sort of this repository of the whole campus experience and a record of it. So after this was this past semester, fall semester, my 3L year, I was done being president of the SBA and found that I had way more free time on my hands than I had been accustomed to. So I needed to do something to keep myself from going crazy. And so Ariel was a parliamentarian on the SBA with me. And so we just decided, you want to make a newspaper? And said, yeah. And then it went from there. And so it had been, I should add that it had been defunct for 7 years. And so we decided to bring it back. And the response has been overwhelmingly positive. We've gotten write-ups in the local newspaper, the Valley News, and the Randolph Herald, if you want to look those up. And you can also check out the forum online at vlsforum.com. We're still publishing through everything. And we do have news about the SBA election that just concluded yesterday. And actually the SBA just elected its first female president in, I think, like 5 years. So
perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, the forum, it's been really great. I think for the most part, people are happy to have us around, but it's a newspaper. So, by design,
Yeah, and it's interesting. So for my attendees, if there's not a student group, we can always create a student group. And I know that with our new focus in restorative justice, we were just awarded a huge $3 million grant for our Center for Justice Reform. And Rico, are you having any new ideas about student groups, or are you excited?
Yeah, we tried to form one, but we just, given that this whole thing is going on, it just didn't happen in time. But Laura King, she's a 2L, and she was dealing a lot with the group trying to form it, and I was just helping her form it. But hopefully it'll be here in the fall. Yeah.
And just speaking to the process of starting student groups, so you essentially need to create bylaws and you submit them to the SBA. You have to create your e-board, and the SBA votes on whether your student group is going to be approved. Then there's a period where you have to wait before you become SBA funds eligible. And then from there, you'll be able to receive funds to plan events and host activities on campus. So that's what the Environmental Justice Law Society had to do during my first year, and every other student group that has been added since.
And you have funds too, as far as funds for different groups, like through SBA, you'll receive funds for your group.
Mm-hmm. So you submit a budget, and you you request funds from the SBA, and you can get them that way.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So here it is. Here we are. We're at that point in the presentation. There's so much to talk about, so I'm sorry that I'm going a little bit over, but you're balancing academics, you're balancing co-curriculars, you're balancing the fact that, we do this wonderful event called Gala. So you're also organizing that, or any type of specific performance. We have just so many things going on. So you balance, and you're working, and you're stressed. The situation happens, and we find ourselves at home working virtually. So this is our next big thing at VLS. I'm moving into mental health. Very important. Vermont Law School is mind, body, soul. And someone asked earlier about the Cambridge program, the dual Cambridge program. This is Maeve. She's currently I think she's decided to stay in the UK, as my understanding. So when you asked that, made me think of her, but so we'll send everybody good health. But I want to introduce Jennifer O'Connor. Jen, are you here online?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you want to talk a little bit about yourself, and then I'll switch over to the mental health side?
Sure, sounds good. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So my name is Jen O'Connor, and you can see on the I'm not going to recite verbatim what the PowerPoint says, but just give you a little bit background about me. I'm from White Plains, New York, and I'm a Yankees fan, but I had to be really careful who I shared that with, living in New England for the past 4 years. So go Yankees. And I went to undergrad in Philadelphia at Newman University, majored in political science, and then had a minor in history. I took 3 years off in between undergrad and law school, and I worked as a paralegal, 2 years for a plaintiff's attorney, focusing on medical malpractice and personal injury. And in that time, I went to Pace University and received my paralegal certification. So I kind of always knew I wanted to be a lawyer, just kind of took a couple of years to solidify that and make sure that was the right move for me. And then after 2 years with the plaintiff's attorney, I sold my soul and worked for a defense corporate firm for a year, which was a great experience, but ultimately knew public interest and public service was the path for me. And so in 2016, the admissions office believed in me and accepted me into Vermont Law. And I drove up from New York and immediately fell in love with Vermont, just the aesthetic and the Green Mountains. And then I met Katie and saw the campus and fell more in love with the academics and also just everything that Vermont Law has to offer. And I graduated in May 2019. And I just took the Vermont bar exam in February, so waiting for results. And in the meantime, I've been doing some work with the admissions office, helping with recruiting and assisting prospective students. So that's a little bit about me, and also just my time on campus. I'm really passionate about mental health. I have a loved one that suffers from mental health issues, and that's kind of really just growing up with that and then taking that into my personal life has really motivated me to help others and share my story, and also just be an advocate for mental health and physical health too. I'm a spin instructor, and when I was at Vermont Law School, I offered Ariel's smiling because she was a participant on many early mornings at 6 a.m. On the bike, and Mariana as well. So I'm a spin instructor. I did 2 classes at Vermont Law School, both 6:30 a.m. because I couldn't get people to get out of bed at 6 for a 6 a.m. class. But I also taught at a local gym that's about 30 minutes from campus called the River Valley Club, and I taught 4 spin classes a week there. So it was very active, and it just was a really great outlet for me, keeping my mind and body in sync, and also just again having an outlet away from my studies. So that's a great segue for me to just kind of talk about some things that helped me in law school. I was the chair of the mental health committee on campus, and we have an excellent program that we just try to offer as many panels and events and outlets for students to kind of share, their stress or and help come up with positive solutions to that stress, and also just give ideas. It's really hard being away from home if you're not originally from Vermont. Living in Vermont is very different from living in California or where I'm from, White Plains, New York. I was used to a lot of high rises and a 30-minute ride into New York City, and then you come to South Royalton and it's beautiful, rural. There's no traffic lights in South Royalton, so it's a huge transition. So we really try to keep that in mind and help students acclimate as best we can. So first tip is definitely, so we get quite a bit of a winter in Vermont, and around the fall, we have beautiful colors, and then it starts easing into the winter, and winter can be quite long in Vermont, but there's definitely ways to get through it. And so we recommend using happy lights, whether that's in the library, you can rent them at the front desk, or if you want to buy one for your personal apartment, it's really helpful to just get a little bit more vitamin D while we don't have as much daylight during that time. Number 2 is probably my favorite one, get up and out early. I find that starting the day a little bit earlier in law school allows you to have more free time for yourself. So yes, getting up at 5 in the morning sounds a little bit crazy, but then I had, an hour to myself to teach a spin class and kind of socialize with friends, or take a little bit of time for myself reading a personal book instead of a law book. So that's a great way to just get a little bit of extra time for yourself in, and endorphins can do wonders for you. So, and be very motivating. So third, again, increase your activity levels. So it's really hard when you're a student, you lose track of time, you're reading and writing and doing all of these wonderful things for your classes. But sometimes you forget, it's like, oh my gosh, 5 hours just went by and I haven't left my desk. So the benefit of just getting up and walking around, even if that's just taking a quick lap, around our campus, which is a beautiful campus, makes all the difference to just take a little bit of time to just work out and take a walk and take some time for yourself in that regard. And again, number 4, burn calories for activities. A lot of us like to, when we have free time, turn on Netflix and grab a blanket, which is great. But again, just the benefits of waking up earlier or taking 20 minutes of exercise a day, that can really make all the difference in your productivity and concentration. There's studies that show that it only takes about 20 minutes to just move around, and it makes all the difference in your productivity and concentration. And I think your electricity bill will definitely help. We'll thank you later if you spend some time outside instead of on Netflix. We also already spend a lot of time on our laptops as students, so it's kind of a nice way to kind of take some screen time, take away from some screen time, and do some things for yourself. So 5, talk about it. We have an excellent group on campus that the mental health committee started called Swan Support. And what that is it's a group meeting that happens once a week, 100% confidential. We actually ask students, faculty, and staff to sign a confidentiality agreement upon coming into the meeting. And it's just a safe space where you can gather with your constituents and kind of share what you're going through, positive or negative. If you have a problem and you want to just share it with a group and come up with conclusions collaboratively, it's a great forum to do that. Or if you're having a really positive experience and you want to go and help someone else that might be struggling, and being a support system for a friend, that's an option as well. And what I did and Allison, who's the current chair, tries to do that still, is we used to do a certain topic. So if it was approaching winter, we would have a whole session on how to thrive during the winter season. If finals were approaching, we would have a topic geared towards that, just sharing tips and strategies on how to succeed and maintain positive mental health during that time. So number 6, we are really fortunate in Vermont to be surrounded by amazing local farms, and it's definitely helpful to eat more veggies during your study time, and fruits, and just give your body vitamins. And again, we have amazing local farms. We have Luna Blue Farm that's about 5 minutes from campus. Kiss the Cow, which is about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how fast you drive, away from campus. And all of those local farmers have they sell their products at our co-op that's right in our town green. So it's a really cool experience to support local farming and also benefit your well-being as well. And so 7, we talked about that, take a walk or hike. We have an excellent gear shed on campus that's affiliated with our fitness center that has all supplies for every season. So from skis to snowshoes to hiking gear, kayaks. The beautiful White River runs through our campus. And so during the summer, students love to go fly fishing or take a quick swim or even go tubing down the White River. So there's a lot of things that you can do during your free time, which is not going to be a lot, but you do have some to get out there and experience Vermont and all that it has to offer. We also have a wonderful hike that is right behind some of the restaurants in the town green called Kent's Ledge. And that is a beautiful hike that probably takes round trip around an hour and a half, depending on how long you stay up at the top, that overlooks the Green Mountains and some of the neighboring towns as well. So that's another great outlet to have. And our Dean McHenry, does dawn patrol hikes up Kent's Ledge, which is a great opportunity to, again, be with your classmates and the dean and talk and go up and have a cup of coffee at the top and start your day off like that and watch the sunrise. So 8, again, that kind of ties into what I just talked about, try a festive hobby. We have a lot of hiking, skiing, fishing opportunities in Vermont. It's a great culture, and depending on the season, you know, there's a lot to do, whether you're an outdoorsy person or indoor person. 9, spice up your surroundings. So I find that being very positive and having bright colors or just inspirational quotes, I'm a huge fan of that, in your study space really help you during those challenging times. Remember why you're in law school, a picture of a family member, a picture of a dog, you know, what inspires you, and just really get creative with your study space. And remember that, you know, this experience is temporary, and what you're doing is incredible and challenging you every day, and in the long run is really going to be super beneficial for you and your family and the people that love you. And then 10 is probably my favorite one, aside from getting up early, is lending a helping hand. So a really good thing that people recommend when you're, if you're feeling down or just have free time and you want to give back, is to help others. And there's a tremendous amount of volunteer opportunities that we have in Vermont. One thing that I did was I I volunteered 2 times a week at Luna Blue Farm, and that was really great for my mental health because I got out of got out of our campus and met some local farmers, made some really great friends, including a number of cows and chickens that didn't want to talk about the law, which was nice. And I got to learn how, our local produce was made. And we also have a great buddy system on campus. We're affiliated with the South Royalton Elementary School, and you could actually become a mentor for one of the school children there. And that's another great way to give back and also inflict yourself into the community of South Royalton, because we are a very large part of that. Our campus takes up most of South Royalton, and it's kind of nice to make it your own home in addition to making it your academic atmosphere as well. So yeah.
What, speaking of South Royalton and making it your home, you gave me the nice segue. What is it like to live in South Royalton? The grocery store, Mariana, finding an apartment with pets? I haven't talked to you all this whole time, Mariana. That's why I was like.
Sure. So it's actually, I would say, relatively easy to find an apartment when you're going to attend VLS. So VLS has a database, a house database, and in that database, you can look for apartments with yourself where it has like certain criteria. So you can say the number of bedrooms or bathrooms, or that you have pets. And so it'll filter what's available and give you the best outcomes. Also Craigslist, a lot of students use Craigslist, or the Facebook pages for the entering classes. They kind of talk to each other and say like, hey, I want to live with the roommate or not. And some people find it that way. For me, it wasn't very difficult. I would say most apartments I looked at allowed pets. Some of them did have some sort of fee that would come with it, but that just is pretty typical when you're looking at a nice wood floor and you have cats that like to scratch things. So I would say generally I didn't have too many issues finding a place. I had more difficulty once I decided I no longer wanted to live in South Royalton and I wanted a little bit more distance. So I live in Bethel now, which is about 10 to 15-minute drive to school. And that it's, less centered between the law school. So it's a lot more Craigslist or Trulia or something like that to have some space between you and law school, because I was so involved the second year that I really wanted that like actual physical 10-mile radius between me and the school, so I could say, I need to go home and actually go home. But yeah, I don't know if Ariel or Kyle or anybody else wants to talk about their housing experience.
Yeah, I lived in 3 different apartments throughout my 3 years here, and they've all been within walking distance of the campus. The first one I found was through a website called walktovls.com, and so that was really convenient. I've had one roommate, and it was one of my best friends, and so we found an apartment together last year, and that was a really great experience. So I feel like there are certainly opportunities to find places that meet your needs in any way.
I just had a question. The housing website get updated. So typically right now, landlords will start posting their listings. Our deposits for admitted students are due on the 15th, and generally they start looking for apartments at the end of April, end of May. We are in a different type of time in our life. We are still hoping to be a residential campus in the fall, but I know that's something that you may want to talk to your prospective landlords about alternatives as far as housing goes. But hey, I'm hoping that we're all there, orientation, August, with big smiles on our face. I don't know if anyone else can add to that. Any final thoughts, my friends? Okay, here's my last slide. If it would
Yeah,
click. See look at, I love that. So this is a picture for those of you on the line. This is a picture of orientation on the first day and some of prior ambassadors, but it's, I'm sure you all remember, we take an oath the first day of law school. And I don't know if you guys have any closing comments. Anything to share. I want to deeply thank you for taking the time on your Saturday mornings. I really appreciate it. And a thank you to Mel, a thank you to Simon, a thank you to Genevieve, and a thank you to John Miller, who's behind the scenes making sure everything is moving smoothly. A big thank you to all of you who have attended these webinars. It's been a privilege to This has been a learning curve for me, and this is my third, so it's been a privilege for all of you that have stuck through it. I don't know if you guys have any more questions.
I saw that someone asked in the chat function about diversity on campus, and I just wanted to speak to that a bit. As a Black student, I was a little worried about coming to the middle of Vermont, but I will say that I was incredibly pleasantly surprised at the amount of diversity, not just racially, but we have a large amount of international students. There's diversity in age and sexual orientation of students. It's a beautifully diverse and very welcoming place, and I feel very proud to be a part of this community. So that's all I wanted to add.
I would second that, just as an Asian person on campus. So.
Yeah, so what big plans does everybody have for this big Saturday?
This was my plan.
This was your plan.
I will be trying to test my green thumb. I'm not very good with plants, but you know, as a future environmental lawyer, I feel that I need to try it until I can figure it out. So we're gonna be doing some gardening.
Oh, good.
And I'll give the 1L answer. I'll be outlining today.
There you go. There you have it, Fido. So I'll be outlining today. Fido, how long are your study days?
I would say they end at 9 p.m.
So
I can't really tell you. I mean, if I get up at 5, they'll end at 9. But if I get up a little later, they'll end at 11. But usually they end at 9.
That's a long day. What's your what do you do when you take a break? When do you take a 1L break? What's your stress reliever?
I think my stress reliever is just surrounding myself around my friends and calling people, communicating with others.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite is when you come up and give me a hug in the lunchroom. Oh, guys, we should tell there's a few people still on. I mean, thank you for staying on. We have the best cafe, bar none. I am going to claim that. 80% of our food is local. They know what you like. You run into people, like some people like will just, that's where their study area is. And it's good food. Like you won't be like, oh, I just ate chemically laden food. You'll, I don't know, I'm kind of missing Jeff's homemade soup. But I don't know. Everybody's saying thank you. Yes, I did put out your emails, everybody, and I was typing last night, and I did, I forgot the S in Akash's email. Sorry, Akash. Taha caught it. So yes, there is an S in there. Yeah, so thank you all. I really appreciate it. I appreciate students, and thank you. Oh, wait. Oh, did any of, Ginevra, are you still on the line?
Yes, I am.
Did any of the master students work full time?
I don't know of anyone who's worked the full 40 hours a week. You certainly could if you were doing it online maybe and doing like one class at a time. But everyone I know who did the full, you know, like the 1 year master's and the full course load, I think most of us, I worked when jobs were still a thing, when this wasn't all happening, I worked about 10 to 15 hours a week, especially earlier in the semester. It's pretty possible as long as you work your schedule really carefully.
Good. All right. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you all. It's been a pleasure again to host you, and have a great Saturday. I might go for a walk. Oh, it's sunny for all of you guys who are leaving, who are far traveling from. Yeah. Fido's like, oh wait, don't tell me there's sun. It's partly sunny and 45 degrees, maybe 50, which is like an awesome spring day. All right, enjoy your day. Thank you, everybody.